Hello, everyone. This is Zenja Glass. You are now at part 3 of Get It Before You Get It. I'm just excited that this is the first class that I'm putting together, and I just pray that so far you felt encouraged. So part 1, you should have spent some time identifying and thinking through who am I? And what is it that I really want to do? You should have some sort of a concept of that by now, right? And now part 2 is I asked you to capture it. Capture it in the spirit and get it in your hands. And don't be afraid to dream and capture it. So if you've not done that part, I want you to stop and go back and spend some time meditating, pray, whatever it is you need to do. Just allow yourself for a moment. And you know what's funny is I should have said this in part 2. I apologize I didn't bring this up. I literally have had to ask God, please, God, give me permission to dream. Like, let me dream, because sometimes it's so hard to do that. But you should have done that homework at this point, which is capturing it in the spirit, right? Capture and see, is it mine? First, I got to know if it's mine. And if God tells me that this is yours, that this can be yours, oh, I'm ready. So hopefully you've done that part. Now, here's where we're going to have a little bit of fun. By the grace of God, He has moved in my heart. Really, to be honest, it's only been recent. And He's prompted in my spirit, because I'm going to new levels as well with my companies and the things that I'm doing. He has placed in my heart, I want you to write a finally statement. So part 3 is going to be committing it to writing. So whatever that thing is, whatever life that you picture yourself having, you're going to commit it to writing. Write that down. Commit it to writing. So you're going to be writing a statement, and you're going to call it your finally statement. This is just something I came up with in terms of a finally. Every little paragraph, every new paragraph is going to start off with the word finally. So I'm going to do something that I really wasn't planning on doing, but I'm going to read to you my finally statement. And what this finally statement is, just follow me for a moment, you guys. This finally statement is you being on the other side of that mountain. You made it. You made it. Just take a moment to breathe that in, because I'm getting teary-eyed just saying that. You're on the other side of that mountain. You've accomplished and set out to do the things you want to do. You've become the person that you know that you are. And so each paragraph is going to start off with finally. And I want you to give yourself permission to go to the other side of that mountain and write your finally statements. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. I'm going to read parts of my finally statement to you. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And then I'm going to tell you the second piece to what I did. So first, hear my example. Then you're gonna stop and you're gonna write yours, and then I'm gonna give you a little bit of a second example, and then you're gonna stop and you're gonna write yours. Okay? So none of this is rehearsed, by the way. I don't even know what sections of mine I'm gonna read, but I'm just gonna read a few things. And I'll tell you this: it took me some time to write this. I didn't want to rush it, and I probably spent on this statement hours, to be quite honest with you. But I said, gosh, I don't even know which portions I want to read, but I'll just start from the beginning and I'll skip around. It says, finally. Well, first of all, I said, I called it self-affirmation, but the title was finally, and I put a date on it. It says, finally, I am no longer walking in fear and am living out my purpose, changing lives for the better, and running my companies with clear organizational structure, with the right people in the right seats, with responsible, intelligent, organized leaders. Finally, I speak my truth and live a life that is enjoyable. I deal with the elephants in the room and address difficult conversations as needed. And I have healthy boundaries in my life. And then it goes on to talk about a couple other things I said. I'll just skip around. Finally, I take good care of my mind, body, and soul. Finally, I get to be fully used by God to help His people live better lives, avoid suicide and depression, and pursue their dreams, and be motivated and inspired to grow from dark places and to never give up. And I talk about a few other things that, some of this is on a very deep personal level for me. So anyway, I'll end there. That's my finally statement. And I just wanted to read a little bit of mine just to give you an idea of what my finally looks like for me. And you can put in there whatever you want. The only thing that I'm asking is, please don't rush this. Please take the time for yourself. You won't do yourself any justice by rushing through this. and go to the other side of the mountain and sit down in a grassy field with a notebook and pen and paper and write what it feels like to be on the other side. I want you to capture that, because what I'm trying to help you to do is to sort of shift the way that you see yourself and shift your thinking so that you know what direction you're heading into. So that's my finally statement. Now, here's the second part to this that I told you I wanted to do. When I finished writing my finally statement, because it wasn't too long, about, I don't know, maybe 2 pages or a page and a half or what have you. And I'm going to get to some other things that I want you to do with that statement once you've written it. I don't know. I wrestled kind of through the night because there's a little bit more that came out. Then I found myself writing down a lot more, almost like an extended version. So when I wrote my finally statement, I wrote it down, then something told me to record it. So I literally have it on my phone. It's recorded as well, so that I can wake up in the morning and go to bed listening to it. But when I wrote my statement down, something in me was like, there's more. So after you write let's call it your short version of your finally statement, I want you to write a short version, and then I want you to write an extended version. I want you then to take another day, another hour, however long it takes. It took me like an additional, and I'm not exaggerating, probably a good 4, 5, 6 hours of additional writing, and I literally wrote out an extended version of my of who I am to become. Does that make sense? So you have your finally version that you're going to write, right? And you can word it however you want, sitting on the other side of the mountain. Then, after you write out your final version, what I want you to do is take some time, and I want you to write out your self-affirmation. That's the extended version. So let me give you an example of my self-affirmation. So you have 2 writing assignments in this third segment. Write your finally statement. Every paragraph needs to start with the word finally, because you're on the other side of the mountain. You're showing what it feels like to be in that mode. Then I want you to write your self-affirmation. And let me read to you a little bit of mine. It's pages long, my goodness. It's deep. So this is a little bit of how my self-affirmation reads. Dear God, I commit this to you in the name of Jesus Christ. From this day forth, I will no longer pour my time and efforts into activities, including jobs, projects, and controversies that do not serve the purpose that you have for my life. The vast majority of my time and efforts will be in the direction of the paradigm shift that you're giving me. I will walk closely with God in wisdom, faith, and courage. I will be known as a woman of purpose, creativity, loving God, helping others, providing secure jobs, financial stability, creating motivational products and services, and changing lives for the better all over the world. And then I go into a couple other things I said. I'm not going to read everything through because I just don't want to read every little point that I wrote, because this is very personal to me. And it's not that I don't mind sharing personal information, because that's pretty much all I've been doing. But some things I just don't want to kind of go over. But I talk about, I mentioned my company, and I said that we will become the #1 motivational and inspirational company in the world. Now, here was something hard for me to write, because this is a big one. People will think of my company and my name before they think of Hallmark. Now, that took some guts for me to write, because everybody knows, at least for the most part in the United States, most people know Hallmark is a huge company. So that's me making my proclamation. I go on to talk about how I'll treat my employees with love, dignity, honesty, and respect, and how I'll provide educational funds for their children, and how I will always make sure that I'm generous with them in terms of compensation packages and so on. I go on to talk about I will have several New York Times bestsellers. Now, you guys know I don't have a New York Times bestseller. I'm working on a book right now. And then I talk about how my inspirational products and books and classes will be featured in nearly every major publication in the United States and around the world. Now, that's a bold statement, seeing that I'm still sort of kind of a nobody to some people. I'm just skipping around because this goes for pages. I said, many people in high influential places will hear my messages, read my books, and use my products, and they will use their influence to contribute to the virality of my influence, thus pointing others to God. When people think about me or my company or my products or services, they will smile rays of hope because their spirits will be instantly uplifted. And then I go on to talk about how because greatness is going to swell up inside of them, and they're going to see their situations and circumstances from God's perspective. And how they're going to go higher, and how I say in here they're going to go unapologetically higher. Then I talked about how we're going to set up programs and systems and protocols that's going to help kids and rescue children who are victims of human trafficking and kids who are being sexually abused. And I just go on to talk about all the things that I want to do in the community. I made some more statements. I would never allow money or my circumstances or fear to stop me from making the right decisions. I'll never allow adversity, obstacles to stop me from moving forward. I'll trust my intuition sent by God. I will treat people with love, dignity, honesty, and respect. I will be legally and financially responsible. I will grow and never apologize for going higher. I will challenge status quo. I will defy all odds. I will walk closely with God. I will not be afraid of pivots or failures or what others may think or say about me. I will leap and take chances while others sit safely in their limited paradigms. I mean, I just kind of kept it going. You get my point? And I've already read a lot. That's my extended version of the statement that I made, my self-affirmation. So I have my short finally version, and it don't have to be short, but I have my finally because I'm on the other side of the mountain. And then I wrote my self-affirmation, which dug really, really, really deep into the daily, the goals, the things that I want to do, how I want to impact the community, how I want to treat my employees, how I want to be close with God and help people avoid suicide and help people who are depressed and going through anxiety, how I want my family to be, that I want my family to travel. I want to help create generational wealth for my family and teach others to do the same. And so I just poured out all of it into that. I wrote it. I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to give away part 4 in terms of what you do when you've done all of that. So let me just end it right there. So we are in part 3 now? Part 3 is I need for you to take some time to write out your finally statement. Do not rush it. Now, I gave you examples of mine. I wasn't planning on going through all of my stuff, but hey, you got it. Gave you examples of mine. Write out your finally statement. Finally what? Finally, I own a home, Finally, I've started my business. Finally, I'm debt free, or finally, I'm whatever. Write out your finally statement and take your time and do that. Take as long as you need. I don't care if it's an hour, a day, a week, a month. Hope it ain't a year, but take as long as you need. Then when you're done with that, you're going to take a little bit of a break. And then you're going to get another notebook out or turn to another couple pages, and then you're going to start working on your self-affirmation. Okay? That's all I want you to do right now. Write those 2 things out, and then I'll see you on step 4, which is going to be really fun, what I'm going to talk about, okay? So see you guys in a little bit. Love you all. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button. Love you all. Bye-bye.